Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to have our first guest in studio in our new office, Noel Ellison, partner at KPMG in the Global Mobility Services Group. How are you doing today, Noel?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Having a great day.
Yeah, look, it's great to have you here. We built this studio in our new offices here in Richardson, and we just want everybody to come visit. Yesterday we had Christine Reichenberger here in the office. I think Janet Turner might pop in later. So if you're in the Dallas area and you want to be on the show, let us know. Or if you just want to come pop in and just say what's up, come play video games. We got a couple arcade games in the break
for
room.
real. Like, he's not kidding. It's legit.
Yeah, we got legit. Okay. Do you play arcade games?
I don't play arcade games. I used to back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Of arcade games.
Oh my goodness.
Original, like first edition.
Okay, we're gonna ask Noel a little bit about that. Let's do an audience. Kick it right off with audience question here. Hit that like button. Get in here. I want to know who you are, where you are, and I want to know what is your all-time favorite arcade game. All-time favorite arcade game. If you know what an arcade is, a place you go to play games, often requires coins.
Yeah.
It sounds very, very archaic.
Yeah. I don't even carry coins.
Yeah. I get a coin and I try to get rid of the coin.
Yeah. So were you asking the audience?
I'm going to ask the audience.
Asking me?
Get in the comments.
Okay.
We're going to ask you soon. Okay? It's not all about you, Noel. All right. We're going to ask you here in a second, but I want the audience to answer. Yes, mostly is today on Love and Relo. But get in the comments. I want to know. We got Adrian checking in from Glomo HQ. What's up, Adrian? Good to see you, buddy. All right. What is your favorite arcade game of all time?
Noel. Oh, I thought you were talking to Adrian. So,
I'm going to start using proper nouns.
Okay. So Q*bert was my go-to.
Q*bert.
Does anybody remember Q*bert?
I haven't heard the word Q*bert in forever.
That should be on my license plate, really. I mean,
Q*bert, it's like that hardcore. Q*bert tattoos, Q*bert everything.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It was, blast from the past.
Tell us how to give basic premise of the game Q*bert.
Q*bert is like this pyramid, and you have to jump to the different squares within the pyramid and get away from the baddies without jumping off the pyramid structure, and then pick up points by jumping on, jumping onto each and every little square, and then you get to the next level.
Was Q*bert the name of the character that was doing the jumping?
Yes. And he was like a horned, like literally had a horn coming off his face. Like, wah, wah,
was he like using that to suck up the things or spit out the things?
No, because you're just bouncing. You're just in it, and there was like probably a sound that was very specific to Q*bert. I can't even remember what it is. But I bet if I heard it in the other room, I would, perk up.
This is fantastic. Somebody put a link in the comments to Q*bert so we all know. I think this has anyone seen that movie about the video games? They kind of like come to life and they come like the aliens intercept these video games and they basically use them to come invade Earth with the losing.
Not me.
I think was Adam Sandler in it? Maybe it's actually
Sounds
pretty
like
good.
It. Or Seth Rogen, probably.
They might have both been in it. Pixel. Adam knows. Thank God for Adam. Thank you, Adam. Super producer Adam Sadello. Pixel. Good movie here. We got people checking in here. Richard from London. Arcade game Space Invaders.
Okay, I did have Space Invaders on my Atari set, so I have to admit.
Nice.
First edition Atari playset. That was it.
Okay, all right. My mom was a big Galaga fan, which made me a Galaga fan.
Okay, Caterpillar. Is that one of them?
Centipede,
sorry.
Yeah,
Centipede,
yep. It would get longer and longer and longer until it ate itself.
Mrs. Pac-Man.
Isn't it funny how Miss Pac-Man is? I think she was single. I think Miss Pac-Man was better than Pac-Man.
But I'll get even more retro for you. Do you remember when Pizza Hut had sit-down restaurants? Yes. And they had the table Pac-Man game that you could play and eat on it at the same time.
And there was it was a two-player.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good stuff. That was yeah. We got another Space Invaders from Peggy. What's up, Peggy? Travis saying, I'm donating golden tea, shuffleboard, and a slot machine being put in our Jacksonville office at DN Van Lines. Hey, that's a nice donation, Travis. I always wanted a golden tea also, so I got one. So we have a golden tea in the break room. Travis, good stuff. Me and Travis played a lot of Golden Tee back in the day. Gina, mine was Miss Pac-Man. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Yeah, Gina, that's a solid one. I don't know why Miss Pac-Man was better than Pac-Man though. Does anyone know? It just was. It just was better.
Didn't she get bigger when and regular Pac-Man didn't get bigger, or the ghosts were? I don't know.
I don't know
Like
what
she
it
would
was. So more
supersize?
fruit, more ghosts, were crazier, there were levels. Maybe it was 2-player versus 1-player. Maybe it was 2-player versus 1. Anyway, I don't know. Get in there. This is fun here. We got how about machines where you drop coins on a sliding platform and you get lucky and some drop off and you nudge the whole machine, grab the money and run. Richard, you're cheeky, as they say in London. Good times, very fun. But you know what? You also are fun. You're not all tax.
Yeah, no.
You have a lot of fun.
No.
You're wearing this rock star jacket over here.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to be on camera. I was like, I'm going to wear my comfies, and this is my comfies.
I see. I know that we got a Galaga vote. Keep them coming, y'all. Get in the comments. But you're also a rock star. I found out.
Oh no, this is like one person found out, and then now the stories are going to continue. I mean, in fairness,
You played on the field where the world champion Texas Rangers.
I did. That is one of the perks of my job. So I'm one of I'm the partner sponsor for our KPMG band in Dallas. And this year we happened to book Globe Life Field back in May. And then a week after we won the World Series, we got to have our holiday party there and perform. And then lo and behold, the trophy was there for us all to take pictures with. It was pretty cool.
So wait, so KPMG's party was on Globe Life Field?
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many people
But even
were there?
better, it was the week after we won the World Series. So how do you beat that?
The Diamondbacks couldn't.
Yeah. Well done. Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So how did you get into, and I promise we'll talk global mobility, but you guys like this stuff more anyway. Get in the comments. Do you play an instrument? I want to know. Get in there. I see a couple of people play instruments in the comments. Get in there. I want to know. How did you get into the band though? Like, how did you decide I want to do this?
I found out we had a band at KPMG, and I was like, I can do that. And
I can do that.
That looks like fun.
I've never been a person that saw a band that was like, I could do that. I've seen like a Jackson Pollock and said I could do that.
Yeah, but have you seen a bunch of tax and audit professionals?
No,
in a
I can't
band?
do my taxes and I can't do band.
No, look, like anything else that I do, I surround myself with talent. And so I am not the talent in the band. I just go and I have
What
fun.
position do you have in the band?
So I'm a vocalist. I sing. Yeah.
You're a singer.
I'm a singer.
It's not exactly the tambourine.
And I ordered the band shirts too. So that's my other role.
What is a tax band shirt look like?
Well, this year I made sure we ordered band shirts because we were going to be at the ballpark. So I ordered baseball jerseys for us that say KPMG across the front that had our colors.
Do you have a name for your band?
Not Our Day Jobs. NODJ. That's the name.
NOD, so no DJ?
NODJ.
Not Our Day Jobs.
Yeah.
I also like the no DJ angle too, because if you get a band, you're going no DJ.
Yeah.
So it's like when you go to have a wedding, right? You're like, are we gonna do a band or are we gonna do a DJ? No
exactly.
DJ.
So, but to like follow on, I was like, I saw the band up there. I was like, that's great. Who doesn't love music? Music is great. It like fills the soul. It connects us all. And then I showed up to rehearsal and I was like,
yeah,
this is work. So I went and took lessons and I was like, you know what? This is good for me. This is going to help me be better with on stage and performing and presenting and like being comfortable, being impromptu, being adaptable. Cause I'll tell you, not every show is perfect.
Yeah, no, tell me about it.
But you're
telling our viewers right now. I mean, they're like, yeah, I know. Talking about it. Hit that like button, get in the comments. I want to know if you've ever been in a band. I mean, did you think this was just going to be like karaoke or something? Or I mean, you took lessons.
Yeah. No, like it, your voice is a lesson, but it's an instrument, but it's invisible, right? So your guitar instructor is like, okay, well, put your finger here and then you strum like this and you watch and you can visually see it. But with a voice, your instructor is like, well, use this muscle back here behind one in. And so, and it's like being an athlete. You just strengthen those muscles and breathe a certain way and anybody can sing. I believe it. Take lessons. Ben, You're gonna sing on your next episode.
I'm more of like a
Yeah.
like I'll do like a Bing Crosby. I'm dreaming of a white,
See,
something
already
like that.
you know you're a singer and you can
Christmas.
handle it.
Yeah, it's got to be all like in the same octave too. Favorite song to sing?
Favorite song to sing. I do Beggin' by Måneskin, and
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
lot of fun to
Yeah.
sing. It's not easy because it's
Beggin',
really fast. And there's a Carol G song that is I'm trying to learn too, and it's all in Spanish, and that's my dream to perform one of the songs in Spanish.
All right, nice. Very cool.
And
Very cool.
stay cool and hip with the young ones.
I like it. I like it. Let's see. Richard Majewski says, I think you are a Ramones fan. Are you a Ramones?
Oh,
fan?
is it because of
Yeah,
the jacket and the
you're giving
glasses? Is that
Ramones.
it? Okay, yeah. No, I'll do some Ramones. I've sung some Ramones before.
This is great. We got the people checking in here. Fantastic. Annie. What's up, Annie? Adam's got a 3-way tie here with Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers, and Rampage. Yeah, Rampage. Legit. And it's a 3-player. I like multiplayers. That's nice. That's nice. Richard Majewski showing your age. Yes, you are, Richard, but that's your avatar. Hey, get in the comments here if you got tax questions, burning tax questions. It's end of the year. I do have a tax question for you.
Oh no.
Personal tax question. Can you look at this?
Yeah.
No, it's the end of the year. What kind of tax decisions should people be thinking about, right? I mean, I know you probably don't get into the weeds so much, these days. I mean, being the front person for No DJ and everything.
Here we go. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm being told.
What everybody does in
What do they
December
do?
with their taxes?
No.
Pay off all your charitable donations or all of those pledges you made to charities. Get those paid in before the end of the year. And then the other thing that people sometimes forget: pay your real estate taxes now. Don't wait till January so you can deduct them this year. That's an easy thing. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, because this is like tax planning season, right? Because once the end of the year happens, you're kind of like stuck with it. The hay's in the barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Are there any specific, like when you start thinking about global mobility tax and expats and things like that? I mean, are there any special kinds of considerations, or are they kind of just like everybody else?
They're not like everybody else.
I know,
They're
weird.
so different. Yeah. No, you know what? All the time, we're trying to adapt to what our clients need, and the biggest challenge we have kind of in our space is aligning. Not every tax system is on the same year.
Oh, like you
so
mean
the US is on a calendar year, but the UK goes from 5 April to 4 April. And in Australia, their tax year is from July 1 to June 30. So it makes things a little
So it's the end of the year somewhere.
It's always the end of it's always the end of the year somewhere.
That might be a new band name. End of the year somewhere. No, that's great. So I want to ask you this. So talking about global mobility tax and expats and everything, and I want to get into your history and your own expat journey, because I know you got some cool stories and everything like that. But I want to ask you about something that kind of annoys me a little bit. Yeah. It's not your fault. Just want you to know that. Okay. No, I see these posts on LinkedIn from people advertising these work from anywhere opportunities, or these digital nomads who are like on a beach in Fiji somewhere and like, toes in the sand, laptop on their lap. And I just wonder if like we're creating this false expectation of what life can be or should be as a worker in 2023.
Well, I mean, look, if you have a gig that allows you to work and your employer's fine with you logging in from the beach, or extending your weekend in another, state, or going abroad and working for an extra 2 weeks just so you can hang out in, on the Mediterranean, good for you. It does make things more complicated for your employer. And it could be that you're creating an unintended tax liability for your employer in that country, or for yourself.
Is it most likely that they probably are creating a tax liability?
I mean, it's a loaded question, because there are countries, because from our vantage point, we're talking US people, right? For the most part. So if you're a US person and you go to a country where the US has a tax treaty, maybe there's a little bit of leeway in there, a little bit of wiggle room, depending on what your job is and what you're doing. And if you're just innocently saying, yeah, well, no, I'm just checking email on my phone and making sure, the
So
shop's
some of that's
okay.
not counted as work when you're over there?
Well, it's definitely counted as work. But when you are in a country where the US has a treaty, there's a little bit more flexibility with not being tax liable for those couple of weeks that you spend there. But if you go to a country where the US does not have a tax treaty, like Brazil or Singapore or Hong Kong, then you're taxable based on whether that country thinks that you're taxable under their domestic rules.
What about the other way around? What if someone in Brazil came to the US?
I mean, it's the same thing. So we have our own rules where, yeah, if somebody were here just hanging out for a month or two and kind of extending their summer holidays with their kids, and yeah, they could potentially owe tax.
Tax in the
Yeah,
US
exactly.
as well?
Mm-hmm.
Super interesting. And like full-fledged like federal tax for 2 weeks or whatever time,
Yes.
prorated kind of thing?
Yeah. So, like one of the things that
And the
we
employer would also owe, the person would owe, the individual owe, and the employer?
well, it's the employer's responsibility if they're employees to report the wages and withhold the tax. But the individual also would have to file the return report. And if withholding wasn't taken, then the individual would need to file and pay the taxes.
What about get in the questions here? I want to know what your questions are, but I'm going off on this rabbit hole. I really like this.
It's fine. Like
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
what if
trying
they're
to freak.
what if they're a contractor, not an employer?
Well, I mean, there are different
employee.
rules again for contractors that kind of fall along the same lines as is there a treaty with that country between those two countries or no treaty. But like one of the things we try to do, because our clients are companies, we usually are representing the employer, and so we help the employer try to track where their employees are working. So what happened during the pandemic, this was really interesting. During the pandemic, nobody was allowed to come to the office. We were all sheltered in place wherever that was.
Wherever that was, yeah.
Wherever that was for an extended period, and the offices were shut down for a long time. And companies were not worried about where their employees were. They were worried about, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay our people? Right. Because it was, but what ended up happening is they realized, oh my goodness, where are our employees? And if they're not working in Texas and they're working off somewhere else, do we need to shift and withhold taxes? So you know what one employer did? This is pretty funny.
What's that?
They said, well, we want all of our employees to report their work location and where they're dialing from. And then they said, okay, we know that we're not getting the right answer. So they said, we would like to send you a corporate gift. If you could please fill out where we should ship this gift to. And then they got a whole bunch of different addresses. The individuals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, hey, we're going to send you an iPad. So
beware of Christmas presents disguised as tax bait. Oh my
right.
gosh. That's funny.
Well, really it's about compliance and making sure that
and
you're
the company
your
cared
employer
that
out of
much.
trouble.
But it's almost like aren't some companies probably out there don't ask, don't tell, just kind of like, hey, I don't want to know where
Head
you're
in
at.
the sand. Well, that's one approach.
I don't want to know. Like, if I don't know, I can't. Like, I thought they were where I left them.
But they do know. They know where your phone or your laptop is pinging in from, because for the most part, most companies will have some sort of VPN or some sort of gateway, and they know where you're pinging from. So this is, I mean, it does sound really Big Brother-ish, right? But, and state audits are starting to think about going after that data, right? So we're all happy that we have all of these advancements because of COVID, and there's an app for everything, and we're better connected, and we have, the ability to do virtual meetings from the beach or my backyard, which is even, pretty nice. But, you want to make sure you're compliant, and the state tax authorities very soon will just be able to say, give me the data download from where your employees are pinging in from, and let's match that up to where you're reporting withholding taxes.
Wow.
Scary.
That is scary. That's super scary. Get in the comments. I want to know what you think about all this. Are you downloading the pings and reporting Accordingly, I bet you aren't. I'll tell you
Well,
what.
and look, most
They're
employers
coming
are
for
not
you.
trying to big brother this. What they're trying to do is just say, hey, look, we're going to look at our corporate travel records. We know that you're getting on a plane. We know you're flying somewhere. So just, we want you to go into the system, do some self-reporting so that we can track that. And then if there is a requirement to report and withhold, we'll do that. And some of them are even saying, hey, and I'll pay the tax for you. Right. So it's not about, I'm going to penalize you. It's about, we as an employer want to be compliant. So those are some of the decisions we help companies navigate, and how to maybe set expectations with their employees, because for the most part, the employees may not be aware that they're creating a tax liability.
I don't know. It sounds like Adam's on it already. He says, give up my secret Batcave location for an iPad. I don't know. I have noticed that Adam leaves the iPad at work when he goes home.
He just sends smoke signals from wherever.
Yeah, he doesn't bring it. I'm like, wow, what's interesting? He left it charging again.
You won't know where my corporate jet flies to.
Exactly. I don't know where's helicopter.
That's personal travel.
This is funny. Richard Majewski, wonder if there will be a new form of company registration for some kind of world tax. Surely it's a massive waste of time and life chasing pennies. Is it worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Could there be a world tax?
No,
like
there's not going to be a
Interpol?
world tax.
Like a world police, a world tax?
Yeah, we can't even get our 50 states to agree to a secondary taxation system, right? Like, we can't even get harmonization between the state taxing jurisdictions to agree on what's fair and equitable,
Is it harder to move state to state or country to country from a tax perspective?
I mean, state to state's easier.
It
right?
is?
Yeah, I think so.
Taxes
but it's harder to, I think it's harder for employees to track down their employees, state to state, because, I mean, except in Texas, like we always take for granted in Texas, we have to drive for 8 hours before we get out of here, right?
Yeah.
So, but in other parts of the country, I hear that you could maybe drive for 5 minutes and go from Virginia to Maryland.
Or New York
Mind
City
blowing.
to Connecticut or whatever, right?
Mind blowing.
You drive 12 hours, you're in El Paso, Texas.
Exactly.
From here, for sure. Let's see here.
And we're still not paying state tax.
Well, that's the good news. No matter where you're at in Texas, you don't have state tax. Let's see. We got people checking in here. Richard says, I'm talking tax. My son's moving to Oman soon. Oh man, Oman. I can't even pronounce that. Oman. Soon. No tax
just roll
there.
With it.
Oman.
Well, but if your son's a U.S. citizen, then
he's a British citizen. So what happens then?
Well, I guess he would just have to make sure he satisfies the requirements to break tax residency in the UK, which may limit the number of days he's allowed to come back to the UK to visit family, to see mom, to have mom cook dinner for him.
She does make a nice meal. In fact, she's actually cooking dinner right now. Richard always skips dinner and watches the show and then gets in trouble for it. But Richard, what's for dinner? Let us know. Rich said there's a tax on alcohol, 100% so-called sin tax. Is that true?
Remember when we used to have that here?
No. Is that a long time ago or a little time ago?
Well, again, this is more advancements because of the pandemic.
Let's see here. We got a question. We got a good question. This is actually a quality question here.
About video games?
We have a sober viewer. All right. Gina Torrens says, do you see more companies localizing employees versus international assignment packages for tax advantage purposes?
Maybe not always for tax advantage purposes, but for the cost. Yeah, they do try to localize. So typically when we think of a traditional expat arrangement, usually it means that, hey, we recognize this is a temporary assignment and you're probably not going to sell your home. You're probably going to rent it out, but maybe you're not going to be always successful at renting it. So we're going to help subsidize your housing while you're on assignment. We also recognize that you're used to living in Texas and the cost of living in Texas is X. But if you go to this place, the cost of living could be higher. So we're going to make up that differential and pay that to you. Whereas a local, you're just usually saying, hey, this is the salary for a local person in this country that, and that's what we're going to pay you. Maybe we'll give you some help with transporting your family and your goods to that location, and then you just get paid a salary. No other uplifts.
When I hear localization, I kind of think about some of the debate that was going on, and I'm not sure if you touched this or not. Hit that like button, by the way, if you're watching right now. I love these questions. Excellent question, Gina. Keep these questions coming, y'all. But when I hear localization, what are your thoughts on the idea of looking at cost of living based on where that employee is actually residing, and say if they delocalized, if they moved away from where they were working before, maybe a New York or a San Francisco or a higher cost of living, and they moved to the Poconos of Pennsylvania or Tennessee or something like that. And, are you seeing employers, or do you have an opinion on this? I'm kind of curious, looking to adjust that pay range based on where they live now?
I mean, that's a really good and controversial area, right? And that's one that really resonated during the pandemic, especially because individuals who were living in California just said, hey, you know what? I can't go to the office. Well, I am going to live over in Texas or in this low tax and inexpensive place to live. And hey, by the way, maybe I'm not going to move back to California ever. So does the company right size their salary because they're not in California anymore? They could, it's usually unfavorable. So
yeah, because it wouldn't go the other way as readily, I'm sure, right?
Well, right. Remember, we went from the pandemic to the Great Resignation. That was insane as well, because you couldn't find talent and you had to pay extra for talent, and you had to agree to things your company wouldn't normally agree to with hybrid or remote work. And so the idea of saying, well, it's hard to hire people, it's more expensive to hire people, and should we pay this person less because they're not living in California or the Bay Area or wherever? Probably not a strategic thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it definitely doesn't seem to go the other way, where I was working in Memphis, Tennessee, and I said, you know what, I want to move to New York. So now you got to double my salary.
Yeah.
It doesn't work the other way. Super interesting.
They didn't double your salary.
They didn't double my salary. Yeah. It's they said, no, you can come back if you want. Travis said, in my opinion, an S corp worked well for me owning a business. I could pay myself a salary of X, which I paid employment taxes on. Then I could do a distribution at the end of the year to the shareholders, me, and only pay Fed tax on that and cut my taxes in half. Does that apply to expats in any kind of scenario?
I mean, those are very specialized kind of employment arrangements and, tax planning that you'd want to do with your own personal tax planner. I can't, we typically don't see that with the corporate clients that we work with, that,
like somebody gets hired instead of as an employee, as a contractor. Maybe they sit overseas, and instead of having to, go through forming a entity in another country to employ this person, they just say, okay, we're going to hire you as a contractor, and you're going to be self-employed and work for yourself.
Yeah, but the issues that we always see around that is that individual really an independent contractor, right? Are they working and setting their own hours and using their own laptop? Do they meet those tests? And the reason that's important is because even though the company, if they're paying a contractor, maybe they don't have to withhold taxes on that contractor and remit them. It's the contractor's responsibility to pay their own taxes. But if it's just a sham relationship and the individual really is an employee, then the employer still has that obligation to withhold. And it also begs the question, well, then is that individual allowed to enjoy the benefits of their company's retirement plan or the equity, or, so it's a complex area.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And does the government of the country that the employee is living in kind of dictate, or does the government of the country that the employer sits in dictate?
Well, you would look at both, right? So it would depend on what the relationship is between the individual and the company and what jurisdiction they're performing services in. So you would need to factor all of that in. So is it the local rules that really drive that, or is it because and then is the individual a resident of that country where they're providing services, or they just in there for a temporary project, but really their tax home and their tax residency is somewhere else, completely different location, right? So you have to factor all of those things in. That's a complex area of tax that really deals in that kind of corporate space, but it crosses over with the employment side of things too.
It's a lot to keep. How do you keep
I
all this
know,
stuff
man.
straight?
Ben, you're throwing me these curveballs.
I mean,
This
I
is
don't
great.
know. I'm just
He
coming
said
up with wild.
curveballs, but
I'm coming up with
man,
wild ideas. I'm not a
he
tax
should have brought
professional.
snowballs. It would have been more enjoyable to have a snowball fight.
Hey, I thought
than
tax people like
curveball.
talking tax. I'm like, I want to challenge the tax person here.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know jack about tax. Let's see here. Richard says dinner. Thank you for asking. Lasagna. He said it now. He's gonna have to pay tax in Italy. That's a little tax joke. I don't know. I don't know, Richard. Don't quit your day job. Yeah, super interesting. So going back to kind of remote workers, I mean, what are y'all seeing out there from a remote worker trend? It feels like the trend is changing since the Great Resignation a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're seeing a couple of things happening. One, employers are really pulling people back into the office on a regular basis, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that it's back like it used to be, 5 days a week in a chair, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. sort of thing, but certainly more regular than not, which is requiring employees to really pull back and get into a fixed base sort of scenario. Now, remote work could be, hey, I'm doing a weekend trip, so I know I only have to be in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm good with that, but I'm heading out Thursday night. I'm going to spend Friday through Monday skiing somewhere, right? So what does that look like? And I think employers are trying to determine what that means for them and what those policies are to allow for a little bit of worker flexibility so that they're not losing key employees, but also making sure the employers are minding their compliance obligations, right? So some employers will say, no travel, nowhere. If you're traveling, you may not work in that location. Whereas others are just saying, self-report. Just let us know what you're doing so we can track it, report it. Or maybe they're just putting their heads in the sand.
Yeah, but self-report. Now I've got all this data in all these situations where someone's skied and worked over here and skied and worked over there and beached and worked over here. And now potentially I'm paying taxes to all these different states, and so are they. At some point, does the worker flexibility open up such a compliance issue and a liability for the employer that they're like, I just don't even want to. I don't want to entice people with the option of I don't want to say a 4-day weekend, but you know, it's like, but I mean, no, when you get 4 days in a row where you don't have to be button seats somewhere at headquarters, you know, the option to ski and work is it's just too compelling, you know?
Right. No, I do have one client that just said, the CEO was like, so why should I approve this remote work policy? Because it just seems like it's costing me that much more money for my employees to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, I'd rather say no, it's not allowed. And then the other thing that could happen too is, you know, say a company is only registered in 25 states where they operate their business, and the employee goes to state number 26.
Yes.
And then it requires that the employer register, and you know how that goes.
Yeah. It's so
Don't you hate registering in another state?
I do. I got a letter from the state of Virginia talking about, well, you got to do this and you got to do this. And it looks like you paid us more than $100. Therefore, and I'm like, well, that was $100 more than I wanted to pay you. Thanks for the letter. And oh, by the way, I don't have anybody in Virginia anymore, but I'm still there. So I hope you don't send me a nasty letter at the end of the year saying I didn't pay you this year because I don't have anybody. And I got to tell you, I don't have anybody. So, you know.
All right, Virginia.
Oh my gosh. Virginia, if you're watching this, take a walk. All right. I'm not paying you. I don't have anybody. Officially, this serves as notice. I don't have anybody in Virginia.
I love it.
Does that count? I got to send them a letter, don't I?
Probably.
A
You
letter.
have to formalize and
I got
sign
to put it on a piece of paper, fold it in thirds.
Remember how to do that?
No, obviously not. I don't remember how to shove this in. I don't know how to shove this piece of paper and another piece of paper and put a tiny piece of paper in the corner.
So is letter writing overrated or underrated?
Here's the irony. It's the more the more obsolete it gets, the more underrated it is. It's like an antique.
Right.
The less of them that there are, the more valuable they become. So if I get a handwritten letter from somebody and it's like, oh, I just, thank you so much for this, or I was thinking of you, or what, I'm like moved. I am moved borderline to tears. I'm like, they thought of me. It's just,
Telling you,
I'm taking a picture. I might put a selfie with it on the internet and say, look at this gem of a human being. What do you
Thankfully,
think?
we don't have to lick stamps anymore. They're all auto adhesive.
Self-adhesive now?
Yeah.
Remember that
those days?
Seinfeld episode where the lady was sending out to George's fiance? He died because she was licking too many stamps for the wedding. Oh, that was so morbid and so good at the same time. Yeah, no, I don't even know what a stamp costs these days.
I think they don't have values on them anymore. You just go and pay whatever the machine.
But is it over or under
you.
50 cents for a stamp?
Over
50
cents.
Is it $1 yet? I have no sense of reality.
I don't think it's $1 yet.
It should just be $1. The post office is doing terrible right now.
Yeah,
it should be $1.
At least $1.
$1 stamp, $1 a letter, $1 to move somebody to tears. I feel like it's underrated.
But if it's over $1 and we have no need for coins, how are we going to operate the video game machines?
Video game machines are now dollars. They take dollars.
Okay.
The good ones take credit cards. But at Glomo, it's free. Okay. So come by if you're in the neighborhood. Come play some free video games. This is great. Scott Chapman says, I can't tell you the last time I wrote a letter, but handwritten cards are definitely a nice touch. Thank you, cards. Congrats, etc. Yeah, I think you might have written me one of those, Scott. It's probably the last time. Yeah. Thank you.
So my son went into basic training this fall, and I got a letter a week. It was great. Handwritten. The boy knows how to write, which is great.
You didn't know that.
Affirmation.
I like how you didn't know that until he gave you physical proof. Proof of literacy. I need it.
Great. It's great. I mean, the last thing I had in writing was like a letter to Santa Claus that he wrote when he was 7.
He only writes when he wants something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you in the state of Virginia. That's the only people getting letters these days. Adrian says 66 cents a stamp. That's a lot of S's.
Good old USA.
Yeah, that's an odd number. What? They raise it by a few pennies. There's some little lady somewhere like, I can't 66 cents a stamp. My grandmother. She used to write letters to all the presidents and letters to all the kids, and she put $2 in there for ice cream. She was doing that, and I'd save a lot of them. But she would be the only person that would get mad when they'd raise the price of a stamp.
Or having those extra stamps that the value
wasn't enough. And then you had to put like 5 stamps on there, like a puzzle.
Yeah. I mean, Amazon should be delivering letters, right? How many times a day do they come to my house?
Yeah. They should. Well, they probably will be. Can they buy the post office? So when my grandmother, she would get so mad when she was such a lovely lady. She was a wonderful, loving, God-fearing woman. But man, you would see the ugly side of her when the stamp price went up. And you do not know how overjoyed she was when she discovered that you could send email for free. And she just thought she just hacked the world. She just discovered
free. Really?
Yeah. She's like, free? I can send you. So all day she's sending me updates and letters and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, Grammy, just chill. Oh, this is great. Scott Chapman says, I heard they're starting to teach cursive again in school. Kids weren't able to read historical documents, family letters, our Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, my kid goes to a Catholic school, actually, and they told us before the school this year that they were going to be learning cursive, that they were to know it by the end of the year, and that everything would be cursive until 8th grade. So he's in 3rd grade. So everything would be cursive until 8th grade.
And then you can take like creative license to have your own
font.
Right.
You can choose your font.
Penmanship. You've
become a man. You can choose your own font. Comic Sans if you must. It's a lot of pressure. Richard says, love it. Noel asking Ben about overrated. Kudos, Noel. That must be a first. Yeah, I don't get enough questions on this show. Gina, compliance is a two-way street, so employees should be thinking compliantly when working in these post-COVID scenarios. Do employees care, though, really? Do they care? I don't even know if employers care, but do employees really care?
Employees want to stay under the radar.
They want to stay employed.
They want to stay employed.
Employees want to stay employed.
Maximize revenue. I do know a lot of people that want to do the right thing by the company. They really do. Like
Really?
yes,
That must
yes.
be a KPMG thing.
No, I do. Like I have clients, and when I sit down and talk to some of my expat clients, they're in all different roles. They could be in the finance organization, the HR organization, the business side of things. Their industry could be different. And they really, you can kind of like engineering. Like I love talking to engineers. Engineers usually want to do the right thing.
Time out. You love talking to engineers?
Well, because they listen to you. They take really good notes. they do.
Moving engineers in the relo. So I come from the house on good side. So you love them from a compliance standpoint. They probably have all their tax documents. They have annotated tax documents. They give you a bibliography with their filing. That's splendid. From a moving standpoint, we used to go into engineers' homes and we'd have to count the furniture to give them the estimate, whatever. They'd already counted it. They already had a spreadsheet.
Wait. We need to cross-reference these. Well,
yeah.
Oh, you're calling that the wrong thing?
Yeah. We gave them an estimate. It's a weight-based estimate. We gave them an estimate. It's like, oh, your shipment was 9,560 pounds. Therefore, it's $12,000 to move. They're like, well, when I weighed everything on my bathroom scale, it only said 9,143 pounds. I think there's something afoot here. What's a miss here? I have integrity issues with my mover.
Does your bathroom scale have certification? When was the last time you had your bathroom scale certified, sir?
Yes. Engineer.
Oh, good point.
Well, you think these engineers are looking at my movers and thinking that we have any more like ability to weigh things? Our weights and measures game is superior to theirs.
What's the government agency that is weights and measures, right? Like there's somebody that signs off on that in the government.
There is a scale master.
Yep.
That comes by and rates the scale annually and signs off on it. Yeah. Just like the elevator guy. You can get in an elevator and there's like a signature on the elevator, like Jane Doe signed off in this elevator, and somehow it's supposed to make you feel better.
Doesn't make me feel better.
Well, that engineer never saw that weighmaster. I'll tell you that. So, but you like talking to engineers. This is interesting.
Well, they do want to be compliant. They really is. And then my favorite is these international transfers into the US. Like we've done a really good job of marketing abroad. Kenny Rogers, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Internal Revenue Service, right?
What are these three? There's like a
marketing,
a priest, a rabbi, and a nun walking on a bar. What do these people have to do with each other?
Yeah, like if you go outside the US and you say Kenny Rogers, everybody's like, I know who Kenny Rogers is.
The gambler, Kenny Rogers, the country musician.
Okay. Or the Dallas Cowboys. They know the Dallas Cowboys.
Team, the most valuable sports franchise in the world. Yeah, you would know. I mean, there's $7 billion valuation.
And everyone in the world knows the IRS.
They know the United States Internal Revenue Service.
And a lot of them are petrified. Yeah. A lot of people are just like, all I know is what they do and not to get involved. I mean, think of how many movies like are predicated on the fact that somebody's lost everything and there's some angry like IRS auditor that's going to come take your house or car or right.
Is the IRS feared in other countries?
I feel sorry for the IRS,
Why?
Because of this image, this stereotype we've created abroad.
Well, didn't they do it to themselves?
So employees do want to be compliant, sometimes out of organization, sometimes out of fear. Just like kids, right?
Out of fear. And parenting tips on the next Love and Relo. Compliance out of fear, chapter 5.
Compliance, overrated, underrated. I don't know.
I feel like we have vastly different takes on this, to be honest with you. Okay. Were you always a compliant person, like in school and everything? Did you know that you
this is interesting. So I graduated School of International Business, and School of International Business, we want to know where the boundaries are so that we know we can operate outside of the boundaries.
Outside the boundaries. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Which is not in the context of compliant versus non-compliant. It's more like I like to think of the analogy being when you're skiing and you're in the wake right behind the boat.
Okay.
And like international business thinkers are like always outside the wake.
Outside the wake.
Doing the sexy stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I like that. I like that. That describes my water skiing technique. Outside the wake, doing the sexy stuff. I like it. I think as a business person, as an entrepreneur, I'm very much a color outside the lines kind of person. I'm very much a let's think outside the box, to use that in whatever.
Doesn't mean that it's wrong.
No, I think the outside of the box is the part that we all like to look at. To be honest, nobody really looks on the inside of the box. It's always the outside of the box.
Yeah, when it comes to compliance and tax, we're trying to stay in between the lines. We don't color outside the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. This is great. We got people checking in here. Get in the comments. I want to know what you're thinking here. Travis is putting YouTube videos in here. Fantastic. I have
Probably
no
a
idea what they are.
Qbert video.
Is it a Qbert video? Looks like Space Invaders is the one here. This is fun. You know, we're running up against it. You know what? Do you like games? How do you feel about games? Scale of 1 to 10. Games.
Games. 5.
Oh.
I'll play a game.
If you have to. All right, a 5 on a 5.
You know, well,
right,
here's the thing. Like, I play golf. Do I keep score? No. So is that playing a game because I'm not keeping score?
If a tree fell in the woods and nobody heard it.
Right.
Did shoot a 68. Nobody knows. All right, let's do it. Let's play a game. We're going to play a game here on the show we called Overrated, Underrated.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Dread. All right. Fantastic. I like it. All right. Fear and Compliance. That should be a good. It's a good band name. So we're going to play a game called Overrated, Underrated. Do you know the rules, Noel?
I don't know the rules.
Okay. There's 2 rules. Very simple game. You'll love it. From a compliance standpoint, very straightforward.
Okay.
2 rules. I will give you the topic.
Okay.
And you will tell me one of 2 things. It is either overrated or underrated.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Second rule is I will then tell you if you are correct.
I'm going to be judged.
Oh, thoroughly.
Okay.
Thoroughly, comprehensively, exhaustively. All right. Let's play the game.
Okay.
I like when people are visibly nervous. All right. Let's go. Hey, Travis says, here you go. I love it. We got a countdown. Carol saying, have you heard of reverse coloring? They have coloring books that all have the color on the page. It's up to you to draw the black lines. Oh, it's like an outlining book. That's interesting take. Okay, super cool. All right, fun. And the first one, overrated, underrated. Now this one's going to be controversial in my household, okay? Do we have any young children watching? Overrated, underrated. Cake pops.
Overrated.
Ooh.
It's just a bite. It's like a tease.
Yeah.
It's a tease.
Yeah. Get in the comments. I want to know if you have a strong opinion about cake pops. You're saying overrated. You're saying overrated based on the quantity of the pop?
Yes.
So would you like a cake on a stick?
They look really pretty. They look
gorgeous.
really, they're
absolutely
gorgeous.
Just
not really as
And shout out to our
satisfying.
sponsor, Starbucks. This is not reflective on our relationship with Starbucks. Noel's thoughts and opinions are her own. David Yakum says overrated. Anybody else real quick before I tell you the correct answer? All right. I'm a father of 2. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. So I feel like I'm a bit of an expert on cake pops.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that they make cake pops from leftover cake. And they ball it up. And it's a way to like use the leftovers. I also have had, we got another overrated from Pam Fettigan. Very nice. I also sometimes think they're a bit undercooked. They're kind of battery. They're kind of parboiled in a way. They look better than they taste. Like a lot of cake on the hot take, like a lot of cake with fondant, the whole fondant era that we're in right now.
I still buy them. And when my children were that age, I would buy the cake pops for them because it was just like, here, take this. And
What flavor?
I mean, I'm a red velvet girl.
Cake pop, red velvet cake pops though.
If they
I didn't
come
see
in
that.
red
I didn't see
velvet,
that one.
well,
It's like birthday cake or like chocolate or like.
okay.
All right. Here we go. Scott says underrated. You try to bunch without eating too much. Ooh. Richard, never heard of a cake pop. Speak English, please. Richard, get your butt over here and eat some real food. Okay, Richard, put the lasagna down. Scott Chapman, for kids, you don't have them eating a whole cake, so it's not as much zoomies. Zoomies. Actually, the correct answer is overrated. Cake pops are overrated.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one in the
You're
green
one.
check.
You're one on the right category. I'm stealing your pen here. You are 1 for 0 right now. 1 for 0.
1 for 1.
No, you don't. No, you're not 1 on 1 because you haven't lost yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one answer correct.
Okay.
Good job. You're doing good. Bailey's cake pop for guaranteed nausea. What are you talking about, Richard? I love you, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy over there. All right, next. Overrated, underrated, native Texas plants.
Oh, those are underrated. I mean, the summer we just went through.
I'm familiar.
I don't know what
hot.
your water bill was, but my water bill, like,
Not as high as my electric bill.
need to xeriscape my yard for sure.
So native Texas plants. I mean, are we talking yellow roses? What are we talking?
No, we got to get some sage and some yucca. It's like some natural grasses that just grow and make the landscape look nice and not waste all the water. Which, when I'm not even saying waste the water, I'm just saying don't waste the money on the water.
Don't waste the money. Yeah.
Use your money for summer vacation, not to pay your water bill.
I have parts of my grass that just won't grow. It doesn't get enough light. So the grass you have to have down here in Texas needs to be heat resistant enough that it can grow, but that grass needs a lot of light. So if you have a shady tree in the front of your house, then now you have patches of grass that just won't grow. It's really hard to grow your grass in Texas.
Yeah. Just get some jasmine and put under there.
You'd have a whole yard full of jasmine. Have you done this yet?
Under one of my shady trees I have.
You have in the front yard?
Yeah.
I need a picture of this. I need to understand what's going on.
We're going to do some gardening.
Yeah, somebody says Richard's eating the THC cake pops. Interesting take on that. Wow. All right.
Edibles.
I like it. Edible cake pops. Great. Yeah, I don't know about these native Texas plants. I mean, you're saying just have a front yard just going willy-nilly.
Look, I mean, do you allow your kids in the front yard to
Not
just go
generally.
throw the front football? So
Not generally.
you're not saving it so that they can have a football game or anything.
It's more just for looks and appearances, so my neighbors don't think I'm crazy.
Yeah, that, and just something you don't have to mow every week, and something you don't have to water 3 times a week, even though that's probably illegal to water more than twice a week. Right?
Is it?
I don't know what the rules are anymore.
All right, yeah. I'll say this. I don't know if native Texas plants are overrated or underrated, but I will say grass. I think grass might be a touch overrated in the front. I think we can get a little more interesting with the front yards. All right, I'm going to give you this one. I think, you know what? Underrated. 2. You got 2 in a row. You're on the heater.
Man.
All right. Let's go. Let's go to the next one. Overrated, underrated. Oh, virtual meeting backgrounds. Virtual meeting backgrounds. So using a canned background, if you will, like a picture or something.
I go back and forth on this one, really. I mean, some of them are overrated because people use the stock standard ones and they think they're being clever, and that they're.
It's not your living room with your grand piano.
Somebody's walking in the background doing something.
And sometimes you see that person just kind of goes through the shot.
But then also I could see the argument for underrated because, if you have a really woke background, people are like,
yeah, she gets it.
Yeah,
she gets it. She sees me.
And I see, back here, I see a little macrame thing hanging. Maybe no.
I don't understand what that word is.
Macrame. Maybe Richard would say macrame instead of macrame.
For English, please.
Yeah.
David Jakob says overrated, stupid backgrounds. Thanks, David. Touch the nerve, maybe there. One time we had on Love and Relo, we had somebody who was on the show, and I think this is also important too, because you may have a home office. You strike me as a person who has adequate space at home for. Yeah. Some people live in apartments and stuff. Mm-hmm. Some people office at the dining room table, and they're on a Zoom call and they need to have a background. Yeah. I personally don't like the fake backgrounds. I think they're inauthentic, and I feel like, now I'm just obsessed with what your house really looks like. Yeah. And I think there's an opportunity to kind of add some of yourself to the background a little bit. So I dig that. But we had somebody who I wished had a fake background because she was on the show, and her boyfriend walks out the bedroom.
Uh-oh.
And I don't know what he wasn't wearing a whole ton for pants. And he goes right to the refrigerator in the kitchen, which is behind her. Takes the carton of milk out, starts chugging the milk.
Yes.
And she can see it on her screen, but she's trying to play it off. I'm not going to tell you who the guest was. You're going to have to go back and sift through 550 episodes of Love and Reload to find the dude who may or may not be wearing pants, chugging the half gallon of milk in the background. And that could have used a virtual background.
Okay, so I did have a virtual background once because I have a natural background at my house and in my home office. But I did put a virtual background up once, and it was like of a 1970s wood paneled station wagon.
Uh-huh.
But I just like, it's my dream car. Okay.
Okay. A Woody.
A Woody.
It. Yeah.
It was such a distraction on every call. Every call would start and we'd waste 10 minutes saying, oh, let me tell you a story about my experience with it.
Back in 72,
yeah.
My dad took us through.
So it was really well received. It just didn't.
It's too much.
It was too much. It was too much.
Too much. All right. Let's see. Scott Chapman says, overrated. The pixelation on the edge of people's hair and clothes drives me crazy. Yeah, it does bug me. Virtual backgrounds, underrated. I never get tired of the old stuff. That's why I have to love myself. I won't give up the day job. You're funny. All right. So overrated or underrated virtual meeting backgrounds?
Underrated. Wait, no, overrated. Sorry, overrated.
You know what?
Because we want natural.
You're three for three. You are 3 for 3. She's killing it out here. At this point, you could strike out the last 2 and you'd still be over 500.
Oh, so I could even be a contrarian.
You could.
The last 2.
You could throw me curves.
Just to provoke.
You could be. You could be provocative. Get some people going. Here we go. All right, number 4. Pre-ordering coffee. Shout out to Starbucks, our sponsor. Pre-ordering coffee, overrated or underrated?
I mean, I'm a fresh coffee girl. So the idea that somebody could be super efficient and if I pre-order my coffee and it's just sitting there, I mean, no.
Is it? Get in the comments on this. No. Do you pre-order your coffee? Do you send it into a Starbucks via the app and then it's sitting there on the side and it says Scott?
And this is going to sound.
Pick it up.
This is another argument, in my favor. I'm not a germaphobe. It doesn't bother me. But if your coffee's made, do you know how many people go up and just like, is that mine? Is that mine? And they put their hands on it and they're touching your coffee.
And they're looking at it like, is that mine? I can't see. Does that look like mine? Oh, I can't see.
Let me taste
and
it.
They're breathing. I can't see. What is this? What do you think, guys? Put it in the comments here.
This from the girl who just spent 20 minutes waiting for her coffee.
I want to know. Yeah. Or do you prefer to go there and watch them make it? And then every time they put it up there, you run up, you pick it up. Yeah. Is that mine? No, ma'am. That's my coffee. Oh, okay. Here you go.
Good point.
It's a good way to meet people.
Good point. I don't know.
At least here. I will tell you. Yeah, they've checked out. They're okay. At this point, we're off the rails. Scott says underrated, especially at the airport where the lines are. Do you pre-order your coffee at the airport?
That's an overachiever right there.
You are doing the most, Scott Chapman.
Gold star.
That might be one exception to your rule. You could probably pre-order your coffee from the back of the airport line. And by the time you get to the front, it's actually sitting up there.
Yeah. Yeah. You could be on the airplane landing.
Oh.
And you could, yeah.
Oh, you could still be in your Uber getting to the airport. You could be at security. You could be going through security, put the order in. Hey,
my coffee's getting cold. Can you hurry it up? Yeah.
Throw it on the conveyor belt, go through, get scanned, go scanned again. Scott's probably got a hip, something like that, And then by the time you get there, boom, there's your order. What is your order at our sponsor, Starbucks?
It depends on the time of day and how I'm feeling. It could be iced. It could be a tea latte. It could be an espresso. It could be a black coffee. It could be, Don't try to put me in a box, Ben.
I won't. I'm just trying to put you in a cup. Have you ever had a dirty chai?
No, but I like the name.
Yeah, it's nice. Dirty chai latte. Shout out to Aaron Flores who introduced me to the dirty chai. It is a chai latte, which I don't really do a lot of chai lattes, whatever. But with a shot of espresso.
Dang, that is cranking it up.
It is. It's legit. I highly recommend it. All right, let's get back to it here. The topic, we got an underrated, we got an overrated, need it fresh and hot with Bailey's. Are you pre-ordering
Bailey's? Is that the second Bailey's comment?
We're getting a lot of Bailey's right now.
We're going to call this the Bailey's episode.
It's not the Bailey's hour of Love and Reload. Coffee, I grind the beans at home. Nothing else tastes the same as fresh. Give me a break, Richard. Okay. I grind the beans at home. What, the beans have to be ground within 15 seconds of the brew? God bless. I love
How
you,
long have the
Richard.
beans been around there, though?
Yeah. Richard and his beans. Pre-ordering coffee, the correct answer is overrated.
What?
It's overrated.
No, come on. I'm sure everybody's saying underrated.
No,
I'm
it's
sure I
it's
lost that one.
no, you know what?
Okay.
It's 1-for-1 in there, and frankly, I'm the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So it's overrated, and
We're
it's
getting
not
close.
because it's smart. It's just because I'm old school,
Okay.
and I just don't feel like doing it.
Okay.
Do you use one of the apps for the points?
I used to, and then somehow I got locked out of it, and I can't get logged back in.
Mhm.
And
You're non-compliant.
yeah, I just.
All right,
Yeah.
last one
This
here,
is it.
y'all. This is it.
Non-compliant.
Non-compliant. Tech-free periods of the day.
Oh yeah.
You go tech-free?
I don't, but
Underrated?
I should.
Overrated. Scott Chapman. I just lost a super fan in Scott Chapman, by the way. He just hated the take on the coffee one. Although, Scott, you're doing the most at the airport. Tech-free periods of the day. Overrated, underrated?
Underrated.
Underrated, but you've never done it.
I mean, look,
But you love the idea of it.
I do. Just like intentionally putting your phone away and not. And it's hard for me. I'm obsessed with my business, and I want to be responsive, and also I just look at stuff all the time.
What
Yeah,
would
I
you
do.
with this theoretical tech-free period?
Allow my eyes to rest.
This is called sleep. You observe a tech-free period every night.
I know. And it could just be like being intentional, like walk away from the computer or the phone, or getting and going for a walk and not taking my phone even.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I do that.
Listening to silence. Nature.
Birds chirping, children playing.
What does that sound like? Yeah.
Coyotes rustling in the this, I don't know, overrated, underrated. I guess I think it's underrated. Not that I've ever done this either.
I mean, look at the habits we're teaching our kids, really.
It's funny. We blame our children, right? We always say, oh, kids these days and yada, yada, fill in the blank. But there are kids. We raised them.
So what's interesting is my 19-year-old son, I noticed that he started to plug his phone and charge it overnight in the kitchen and not in his bedroom, so that he's not tempted to jump on with his friends like before bed or the night or
just
something.
spend an hour before bed scrolling the internet.
Good for him. He didn't learn
How
that
old's
from
this-
me.
how old's your kid?
19.
Smart. Well,
Didn't
they're
learn that.
they're actually thinking about things like mental health.
Smarter
when they're
than
19.
me.
I was trying to see how many brain cells I could kill every night at 19, and they're over here thinking about mental health and wellness and
Yeah.
yada yada.
So there you go.
You know what? This is great. You are 5 for 5, Noel. That honestly, that's tied for an all-time high score. Very nice job, Noel.
Thank you.
Love it. This has been a lot of fun. Noel Ellison, KPMG partner, Global Mobility Services. We don't need solutions. Services. Just kidding. You want to leave us with a final thought?
Yeah. Hey, look, everybody, enjoy this holiday season. Be together with your family and friends. Be safe out there. And it's been a sprint of a year. So go tech free and be the best you can be.
Tech free. Be
Yeah.
the best you can be. There you go. Awesome. A lot of fun, y'all. Take care. We will see you January. This is our last show of the year.
Bum, bum, bum.
Is that true? That's factually correct. I just checked. January it is. See y'all then. Have a great holiday season.